I don't know if anybody can like read to these episodes of Inside the Rapper Studio when I just come in mad dry, and it's just like, fuck it. It's not even fuck it. It's just that I'm extremely exhausted, and it's starting to feel like work. But it isn't bad, but because I feel as though everything that's been happening with it is a success. Huge shouts out to Station 10. But yeah. Episode 92 of Inside the Rapper Studio. This is going to be a special but boring episode because there are no guests with this episode. Basically, this episode is going to be more so about the state of the studio, where it came from, like first week, pretty much the beginning stages, where I'm at with the show right now, and how I feel about it and things like that, and the future of Inside the Rapper Studio and where we're going to be taking it. So, it's going to be really cool, really interesting. Like I said in my interview yesterday, if anybody was on, it's going to be the boring episode, essentially. It's just literally nothing but information. So, give a few updates to you guys. Last Saturday, which was Score Swayze Saturday for the entire month of August, that was the special between Inside the Rapper Studio and Working Title Podcast. That was pretty cool. Huge shouts out to the hard-working fellas at Working Title Podcast, as well as Demo Tape. This Saturday, for Score Swayze Saturdays, we are going to be having the world premiere of Level Double Feature. It's a two-part project. First part is going to be EP, all produced by moi. Second part is a secret album, all scrambled up songs between 2016 and 2018. Quite frankly, it's just one of those like compilation tracks, so I felt as though it will behoove me to give you guys that tracks and things like that. So that's going to be this Saturday. Act 1 is going to be available on streaming. Both acts are going to be available on Bandcamp, so hopefully you guys can check that out. Saturday after that, on the 22nd, is going to be the finale season series. At this point, it's probably season because I keep getting clamored for it. Season finale of Inside the Rapper Studio, pretty much bringing back all old guests, not all of them, but a few of them. See where they are, checking up on people and things like that, and giving a round out to the next project under Swayze TV. So, without further ado, let's get this lecture started. I'm going to be honest with you, I don't really blame anybody if you don't stay on this live. All it really is just me kind of explaining where this show is going to be headed. If you're a huge fan of it, I would love you to stay, and I would really appreciate you, trust me. But I know usually you guys come for like good interviews, good conversation, good content, and things like that. But I feel as though with how the show is going and things like that, I'd much rather give people the history of the show, give people like my insight on where the show is currently, and then talk about where the show is going to be headed. So, without further ado, I'd like to pretty much roll out with the history of Inside the Rapper Studio. Before I was doing this, I was doing shows for Swayze TV Live. Now, Swayze TV Live was essentially the live performance segment of Swayze TV, aka how I got my money from this shit. Damn, no applause? Fuck it. But yeah, that's pretty much how I got the money off this thing. Bringing people in, like having artists perform and things like that. Having DJs do sets and things like that. Pretty much making it somewhat of a community for people to come in, perform, showcase their art, network with other artists, network with other creatives, and things like that. The first episode technically was in October 12th, but I always count the first episode as regular show. Now, with regular show, it's going on a year. This Friday will legit be 1 year since regular show, which is some mind-blowing shit, and that's how fast time goes. That was my first ever curated event. Essentially, really what it was is just kind of me not really getting booked that much. First of all, huge shouts out to Grant, Alien Dude, because he's the one that showed me how to even book shows in the fucking first place and things like that. And he's the guy that was actually booking me in shows and things like that. So, I had to get that shout out real quick. But, overall, I had my first show, not first show, but first curated show, regular show, August 14th, 2019. Basically, hold on, guys. We have Burnout in the building. Always my favorite interruption of the show. How's it going, Burnout?
It's good, bro.
Good. Everything Gucci?
Get at it.
Good. So, with August 14th rolling around and with the show of regular show, it was a pretty productive, solid event. People came in. It was a Wednesday night. I didn't expect that many people to come in on a Wednesday night. It was more like a test model. Whereas though it's just like a pilot episode, whereas though people would come in, I would pretty much gather data, see how things worked out, and just collect data for the next show. And it was pretty successful, and I really got to give a huge shout out to everybody that was involved with that show, including Burnout, and Finagle Baby, Ty Pacino, Mira Lachey, KLA, all those folks. Everybody came through and showed love. That was a solid show. But after that, then begun the series of not Inside the Rap Studio, Swayze TV Live. So I kind of wanted like a monthly thing to go on with like live performances and things like that. With the live performances, first of all, who's done a live? Because like, there's no way in the hell you guys are just sitting here listening to this boring ass shit. Huge shouts out to Ten and Russell for just sitting through this college ass lecture. Because I feel myself going to sleep, but nonetheless. After that, it was Swayze TV Live. It was October 12th, 2019. Really solid show, and there was a lot of things going on, like, in the process of making the show, like, to the point where I journaled damn near the whole process. Huge shouts out to Lex Chapo. Huge shouts out to Chris Cassius for filling in for Miss Cam. Huge shouts out to Miss Cam for even agreeing in the first place. Finagle Baby came through. Burnout had a set as well. Faux Dread had his first performance at the first episode of Swayze TV Live. Huge shouts out to New Rev as well. I felt as though, like, pretty much with that first show, I was kind of like making the claim of what Swayze TV was supposed to be, instead of just being all content about Score Swayze. It pretty much just became the idea of having Baltimore with their set of like talent, and then bringing in that fresh blood, the people that I'm around, the people that don't really get that shine, the people that don't really get that credit, the people that don't really get the roses that they deserve. And I wanted to pretty much like build a platform for them, not just me, because I mean, I can perform whenever I get booked, even though I didn't get booked that much. But if it came, it came. If it didn't, it didn't. I wanted to do this for my people. So with Swayze TV Live going on, I had the first show, I had the second, Big Turf in the building. Huge shouts out to Turfland. With that show going on, pretty much, I had another show, episode 2, V-Word. There was a huge problem with the venue. I won't even pretty much talk about the venue at this point. People have like their good parts about that venue. I just won't speak of it, and we'll just leave it at there. I moved the venue to Baltimore Free Farm. I had one show out there. It was okay, but it really wasn't what I wanted for the show. As well as it was a show for teenagers at the time, where it was D-Generation Next, and I was pretty much putting on like younger talent, such as your Playboy Swanseas, Young Swansea, such as Trill with the Bag, Zona, just guys like that, pretty much like running their gauntlet. Swift AK as well, pretty much giving them their first show, pretty much having their feet get wet and just get a process of how like things go in terms of like performances and things like that. So I did that, and then I had legit the next 3 shows booked up. The next three, which was episode 4, episode 5, and the season finale, which is episode 6. Episode 4 was already announced. It was going to be a solid lineup. I had T.I. Lee, Action Bastard, Finagle Baby. This is the second fucking like appearance in the show and shit. I won a title in it too because it was mainly the theme of rappers and producers, and I kind of wanted to mix that whole bag up and stuff like that. But Corona came through, you know how Corona does. So fuck 'em. But it's a blessing in disguise with it because, like, honestly, with that slowdown and shutdown of everything, I kind of, like, not necessarily panicked. It was just more so one of those things that's like, shit, things kind of stopped. Where do I go now? So from there, I just kind of, like, thought of how else can I still book people and give people their platforms, but everybody's still at home. So I thought of doing something like a green screen series, which is pretty much my late night television. I don't know why I'm burping like this. My late night television series, but I still didn't want people in my fucking house, so I just kind of declined on that. Then I thought of just giving them interviews, whereas though all they gotta do is just have a conversation with me on live, like it's on fucking FaceTime. And thus spawning Inside the Rapper Studio, which is what you see legitimately right the fuck now. With Inside the Rapper Studio, I got the idea from James Lipton, and I don't know if anybody's been noticing. If somebody's in the live right now does notice, rather it's 10 or Turfland, every flyer that I've had for Inside the Rapper Studio has had Inside the Actor Studio on it, such as James Lipton. James Lipton was the late great actor / creator of Inside the Actor Studio. And I felt as though what he was bringing within, like, actors and things like that for his class in, like, Pace University, pretty much having people learn from, like, other actors and things like that. I wanted to do the same thing for hip-hop. Whereas though I could bring people on the show, talk about the stuff that we do, talk about the work that we do, and talk about the business and industry that surrounds us. And from there, people that come in, tune in, and, like, really can learn what the fuck happens in this industry, because, you know, not a lot of information is passed out, despite the fact that we're in the age of fucking information, and people like playing gatekeeper just off of straight up pride and ego instead of trying to help out, like, the next person. So I wanted to do the exact same thing that James Lipton did, which is why I honor him in each and every flyer, but for hip-hop. So that's why I brought in the idea for Inside the Rapper Studio. Now, the first week of Inside the Rapper Studio, geez Louise, you guys are really about to listen to this boring ass shit. You guys are troopers. If you're still in this live, I owe you a hat, because there's no way I would be sitting through this shit. Please remind me at the end of this. So the first week of Inside the Rapper Studio was actually at the end of March. Where at the end of March, it was like me kind of giving like a test run going on live. And the way I would do it, I would go on live and I would review my old projects and kind of talk about where I kind of stood with the old projects now. Of course, first project was Digging in the Crates, Akbar Shabazz, and then like moving on with Anali Rhythm Volume 1, The Mask Off Game On, things like that. Pretty much that first week was kind of like getting me used to going on live every day at a certain time and getting used to like having that set schedule of talking to someone, whether it be the people in the crowd at live or the guests at the bottom of the screen. So that was like the first week. But then the first official week, like week 1 of Inside the Rapper Studio, was the first episode was April 6th of 2020, obviously this year. But that was the first episode with L. Cook, and then we moved on with Beth Banger, and then we had Action Bastard, because Action Bastard dropped his project that week. Huge shouts out to Action Bastard, and huge shouts out to K. Woods. I'm going to be honest with you, K. Woods. This is going to be a boring ass episode. There are no hosts. I'm just legitimately talking about the history of the show, where I stand with the show right now, and the future of it. So that's your only warning. Basically, with the first week, I just kind of steamrolled that. It was pretty okay. Like, that's when lives couldn't, like, save onto IGTV. That's when, like, lives could stay on your story, and you can legit just click on the story and watch the live right then and there. Which was a pretty bad format, in my opinion, because IG was really about to blow up, and this is like beginning quarantine. Like, I remember when I was still doing like my little countdown shit of like how many days in quarantine. Now that we're on like 148 and shit, well, 149 actually. And back then it was like day 14 or day 15, and like when in those days it was more so like IG live. Boom, stick it right there. You got 24 hours to watch a show. If you want to save it, you can. If you can't, that's on you. It's for you. It's not for me. But now that the format has swapped to saving the lives on IGTV, it's much more successful, and you can pretty much get a better connection with the people that you do the lives with. Even doing like commercials, like you guys would see on my story where it would say like, huge shout out to such and such for a great interview. Swipe up for the next swipe up for scenes from the next episode. Blah 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 blah. But yeah, that's when it swapped over, and that swapped over during producer week. Speaking of the producer weeks, the special weeks kind of came in as like a crazy idea, where I still wanted to like include everybody that's within the scene. I didn't want to do just rappers because, quite frankly, as a rapper, I don't want to fucking talk to rappers all the fucking time. I don't. Sorry. It's one of those things that, I mean, I barely want to talk to rappers now because, like, I keep getting, like, my fucking DMs banged down asking for fucking interviews, even though I keep telling people that, like, this is legitimately the second to last week within the season. Why do you want to interview right now? But that's neither here nor there. Pretty much I wanted to do more specialty weeks, whereas though I would interview women in the scene, such as Women's Week. I believe Women's Week was week 3 or week 4. I can't remember. Week 3 was actually Women's Week, because week 4 was a little nutty. But week 3 was Women's Week. Then I did Wheels of Steel Week when I interviewed DJs. And then I did Producers Week. And then Producers Week, that's when the swap happened. Because I remember it was after the interview with LB. Huge shouts out to LB, by the way. I was interviewing LB, and when the live ended, I usually see like the numbers. I would do my like little statistics on my phone and shit, and write down like whatever like numbers happen, and like legit track down my shit. And I would have actual analytics within every fucking like episode, and I really would track that shit down. Like, it's ratings, you know what I mean? I would treat it like ratings from TV because it's a fucking TV show. And then as soon as the swap happened, as soon as the live ended, it said save to IGTV. I'm like, what the fuck is this? Like, y'all now just doing this shit? You know what I mean? And it kind of fucked me up, but it's legit the best thing that happened to Inside the Rapper Studio. So huge shouts out to IG for even making that move. I felt as though it's a great way to keep the content that I create for, not just for like Swayze TV, but for the artists that come on, you know, that need like press stuff, that needs like press requirements for like EPKs and shit like that. So when they have to like issue out things to A&Rs or issue out things to certain labels, that if they want to get signed, they already got their resume, and most of their resume that comes from press will come from Inside the Rapper Studio. So I felt as though like if I can do that for other artists, you know what I mean, that's a huge favor. So moving forward with the show, I had a huge blow in my personal life during the show. Like, I was actually damn, now I really gotta tell this story. Now it's actually gonna be on live, and it's gonna be super fucking funny. Huge shouts out to Joey Bricks, by the way, because that was the first episode I did in my highest state. I was the highest I've ever been in my life, period. You can't even tell, because like I was in like professional mode, and like I took like legitimately 4 fucking brownies. Don't know why I did that. Last time I did that. And I did that, like the show ended, and then just shit just went left right after that. I remember I was yelling. I was in a bunch of shit. I confessed a lot of stuff. I was legitimately fighting demons. And the next morning, I kind of just woke out, just really just like kind of sat down and just like really understood the shit that happened and tried to move on for it. And then later on in the day, I got the phone call from my mother saying that my grandmother passed. And that was the first time I realized that I could legitimately, like, cancel, like, the whole show. I could just, like, cancel the whole, like, episode right then and there. But I felt as though, since I'm already, 7 weeks deep, this is week 7, episode 33 of all episodes, 33 would be the number, and numerology is crazy that way, but I won't even get into that. But, like, I got that episode. It was the episode of Benny Harding. I texted Benny when I went back to my family's house, saying, "Hey, family emergency, just give me an hour, we should be set." I did that interview, dry eye like a motherfucker, just legit, just really trying to run through the fucking live. And it wasn't much of a rush live. I was just really trying to make sure all the information that I needed from the interviewee. Huge shouts out to Benny, by the way, for even being patient with that. Even with the interviewee, I just had to make sure all the information was there, wrap the live up, and cry your fucking eyes out, because there's no way in hell you're going to be going through this shit in the middle of your goddamn live. Which I didn't, and I'm proud of myself for that, so I have to give myself credit. And it's actually something that's still been bothering me to this day. Like, I've still had problems, like, grieving and things like that, just because I've been working so hard, not just with, like, shit with Inside the Rapper Studio, but Swayze TV in general. Like, the next step after the season ends with Inside the Rapper Studio, which we'll talk about at the end of the show. Even with, like, the project and things like that, Love a Double Feature. Like, doing all this shit and then in smack dab of it, like, a huge monumental figure in your childhood has passed away. Family, nonetheless. And really trying to build on towards that, and I was just really just out of it. That's why in episode 50, during that special, I just kind of just told people for the first time I did not want to do the show anymore, because I was just fucking tired. I'm exhausted. Like, I was aiming for 100 episodes because I didn't know how long quarantine was going to last. But being as though shit is right now, shit, we might as well run until fucking 2022. Huge shouts out to Slow Grind, by the way. But yeah, it was just a bad time right around then. I think that's when, like, shit kind of started faltering with the show. The numbers started stagnating, or even dropping for that matter. Guest wise, I was just kind of like just shooting out anybody. I stopped doing specials. It was just more so like, all right, let's get these interviews out the fucking way and just, like, leave it as be. But I felt as though with, like, the work that I've been doing with the shows and the support that I've been getting, not just with, like, the interviewees and showing me a lot of love and things like that. Even though I do that whole bullshit, like, oh, don't thank me on my show, don't thank me, that thank you really brought me out the fucking mud. Like, I would have probably never even made it to, like, episode fucking 70 for that matter. But you guys did that. So I always have to thank everybody on this show. Whether you're in the crowd, whether you're in the comments, whether you're in the likes, whether you're legitimately at the bottom of the fucking screen, I always got to thank you, because chances are you're the ones that's pushing me to keep doing this shit. So I always have to do that. So, that was episode 50. Episode 50 was in June. I think the first bad week I had within Swayze TV, not Swayze TV, Inside the Rapper Studio was the first week of June. I don't really remember. I believe that was week 9, actually. Now that I think about it, it was week 9. And after week 9, it was just like a bad week. And then week 10 in itself was a little inconsistent as well. And I believe the first thing I posted when I posted week 11's schedule was like, I really want to make sure you guys are getting what you're supposed to be getting from this show, from the content of Inside the Rapper Studio. So I just made myself, like, really more dedicated to the craft, to the show. Because, like, at first it was just something to, like, book people and still, like, be somewhat still seen within, like, Baltimore and things like that. But I started realizing that this was something that's helpful within the community, within the Baltimore music community. Whereas though it's not just like, people acting an ass on IG Live and shit like that. There's legitimately a intellectual conversation between two artists about the craft that they live and die for. So I felt as though I should really dedicate myself more to the show for that matter. In which I did. So after that, episodes started getting planned out more smoother. Also doing graphics, better graphics with the shows and things like that. Even with All-Star Week, I thought of All-Star Week after that, I was just trying to push episodes, just keep that shit going. And everybody would still hit me up for interviews and stuff, but it's at that point I was just taking anybody, and I realized that was a fucking fault. I'm going to learn my lesson for season 2, because trust me, it's going to be a very limited list. Not on some cocky shit. It's just that I'm stepping up the production value of the show. I'm stepping up the content of the show. I'm stepping up a lot of shit with the show. So with that being said, I have to step up the clientele that I meet within the parameters of Inside the Rapper Studio. So with that being said, sideline, no longer accepting interview requests via DM. That's going to be on email only. ScoreFSwayze@gmail. Easy as hell. It's in my fucking bio. It's not hard to find. He shouts out to King One Solo, by the way. With that, I was just trying to really just push things forward and make things better with the show. I guess we can move on to where I'm at with the show now. I didn't really see it kind of going this way, honestly. I'm doing a lot more with not just my own shit, but with artists that I even meet through the episodes. On the next project that's coming out this Saturday, Love a Double feature, by the way. With that, I actually had 2 people that was on the same week as features on the project, which is Jamari and Taser, who shouts out to both of them, by the way. And shouts out to Web Legacy as well for dropping in. With that, I pretty much just started cranking out hits and shit like that. Even in the midst of doing a whole ass program every Monday through Friday night at 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, I still wanted to work out music. Even though BNS just came out and this was supposed to be the rollout for BNS, but BNS just kind of went on its own thing. And it's still successful in my eyes, and it showed that I could still put out a project 2.5 years after the fact of my last one. And not only that, having a proper rollout for these projects. So yeah, that's why Inside the Rapper Studio became its own rollout of itself for the next one, which is Love a Double feature, which is due this Saturday. Yeah, so with the show where it's at right now, I really appreciate everybody's support of it. I really appreciate everyone's just straight up love of the show. Even getting fucking mean. I throughout all these fucking 19 weeks of doing this shit, I didn't expect to get memed. I got fucking memed. Didn't see it coming. I was just scrolling through Twitter as I usually do, which I shouldn't do that much because I'm not even fucking tweeting anything important, just a bunch of wrestling shit. I just saw fucking Chris Cassius, who shouts out to him, by the way. I saw him post something when the gas station pills kick in or some other shit, and I was actually in this robe, funny enough, and I was just doing this shit or whatever, and that kind of had its own little steamroll, and I was like, alright, fuck it, might as well accept it. I mean, if it's a meme, then it's usable. If it's usable, it's content. So that was pretty cool, in my opinion. Even Ricky Jacobs did the thing when I was doing this. When I get real excited for a guest or real excited for the show and do this, you can tell I'm tired of shit because I don't really do this shit anymore. But I did that, and I wound up using that for the flyer for Saturday Night Smash, which we'll talk about later. So it was really cool to actually get memed and actually be memeable through the show, even though I didn't even mean to do that shit. It just fucking happened. Fuck it. So that was pretty cool. What else happened that was pretty cool on the show? People coming in with robes and shit. I don't be expecting people to come in with robes. It's not a requirement. Not everybody has robes. Nor do I care if anybody has robes. Just come as you are and just answer my fucking questions diligently. That's legitimately the only thing I ask for any guest. Just come on time, promote it well, answer the fucking questions diligently. Don't be an asshole. Easy peasy. And so far, all of that has happened. So I really got to appreciate every one of my guests that's been on the show. Even the guest that's going to be on the show in the future, because I'm pretty sure all of these folks are very noteworthy and very respectful and very responsible with the shit. Especially if this is the last 2 weeks, and I know exactly who's going to be on the show at this point. So, yeah, those guys are cool, and I really appreciate them. Also, getting interviewed for being an interviewer, it's also pretty funny as well. Didn't see it coming. I was really just doing this shit just to work on my consistency and all that shit, which is doing pretty well, but the personal life shit could be more consistent, but that's neither here or there. So I got interviewed by King Fat Tender, who shouts out to King Fat Tender. I got interviewed by him, what was it? Not the past Saturday, but the first Saturday. I believe it was the first Saturday when Shelf premiered. And that was pretty cool. I gave him a lot of information about how things going. He even said himself that, Inside the Rapper Studio kind of inspired him to do the shit that he does with Demon Time. And that was, a really eye-opener. You can actually do some shit with this, you know what I mean? Where it's just, it's not just, me fucking around on live every fucking night. It's me trying to give out some information to fellow artists and things like that. So, for him to kind of, model Demon Time after what I do with this was a huge, huge compliment. And I'm always grateful for shit like that. So, huge shouts out to King Fat Tender for that. Even with tomorrow, for the guys, for the folks, I don't want to assume genders, for the folks that's in the live, I'm getting interviewed for being an interviewer again tomorrow by the wonderful Grim Year Wednesdays. Grim Ken Records will be interviewing me about what I do every night, also interviewing me on my music. Hopefully I can give a nice little plug about the shit that I'm doing with this Saturday, which is Level Double Feature. So hopefully I can do that. So it's been pretty cool to, get interviewed just because I do interviews. And it just kind of rolled out that way. So that's pretty tight. But overall, that's the good side of it. But the bad side of it is legitimately I am fucking exhausted, and I mean that with every fiber of my being. For those that don't know me that well, I don't go outside, I don't hang out that much. I really only go out just to fucking network. And even still, when I had to head up to Demo Tape's office and Working Title office, I don't really want to hang out. I mean, those are cool people up there, but I'm really there to do business. The whole slogan at the end of every episode is fucking stay in, wash your hands and stay in the house. Huge shouts out to fucking Baby Badu. You're coming in kind of late, not like a complaint or anything like that, but I'm pretty much doing the state of the studio, whereas though I'm just talking about where the studio has gone, where do I sit with it now, and after this we'll be talking about where the studio will be headed for season 2. So, nonetheless, I've just been really fucking exhausted. I'm an introvert. I don't like really giving out a lot of energy to people all the time. But I felt as though this was more so of a duty, where nobody else is really trying to interview everybody from the city or interview everybody that's trying to do some solid shit within the scene. So I felt as though that was more so of a duty than just me trying to pal around and hey guys, I'm around, talk to me about what you do. It's more so I have a duty to uphold, to make sure all the information that's necessary for other artists in the city get that information. So a lot of that kind of took a lot of energy out of me, whereas though I had to talk to somebody every fucking hour. Not every hour, but every night for 1 hour, Monday through Friday. So that just kind of expanded a lot out of me. So right now, I'm fucking pooped. I ain't shitted. I am tired, but I soldier on. this is the last 2 weeks of season 1 of Inside the Rapper Studio, but nonetheless, I really try to make sure that like the job is still done. And yeah, like I always try to make sure everybody's solid, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, I still have to take care of myself. So I guess that comes into the play of the future of Inside the Rapper Studio. The most I can say about it is season 2 will begin around October. Hopefully I can like stall it out until the end of October, just so I can make sure like energy wise I'm there and I can actually do this shit again. But more than likely, it's gonna be at the end of October. Production's gonna be up. Hopefully I can do something with YouTube as well. I don't want to keep doing IG Live. IG Live is great. It's pretty much where everything started. It's the cradle of Inside the Rapper Studio. But at the end of the day, niggas is broke, and IG ain't paying niggas. So I'd much rather put that platform on YouTube, whereas though the monetization could be a reality for the show. Huge shouts out to Candace for coming in, by the way. I love that all my favorites are really just rolling in one by one, and like I would get that like notice until like the end of the show, and it's like, you motherfuckers should have been here. But it's all good. I appreciate you guys for coming nonetheless. But yeah, for the future of the show, new season is going to be at the end of October, hopefully around the end of October. New production value. There's also going to be a surprise for the new season, which I will announce for the Inside the Rapper Studio finale, which is next Saturday, August 22nd, which is a part of Score Swayze Saturdays. So hopefully you guys can roll in with that. Yeah, that's pretty much the state of the studio. I kind of covered everything, the 24-hour show. I'm on the Twitch. It's just that with Twitch, huge shouts out to Coolest in the Gang, Carlito Freeze for coming in. I'm on a Twitch that's actually with the next step of the next phase of Swayze TV, which I'm glad that you brought up because I can just easily segue that shit. Saturday Night Smash, that's right. I'm hosting a fucking tournament for all creatives in the city called Saturday Night Smash. If you got hands, if you're nice like that, even if you know somebody that plays Smash that's a creative in the city. I don't know if Neon June plays it, but if he does, please let us know. I'll send him the application so we can get this thing going. I was thinking of like a maximum of 32 contestants because at first I had like huge fucking ideas for like 64 people, cut it down with an invitational, bring in a league, get a point system. No, it's about to be an old-fashioned fucking tournament. Best 4 out of 7, you get eliminated, move on up the bracket, all that shit. Easy peasy. So, if you do play Smash and you're creative, and if you're watching this eventually, let me know. I will send you the application. You can sign up. We can get this ball rolling. We can get all this shit out the way. I did a logo for it. I'm not crazy about the logo, but some people say it works. That's just me being a fucking critic because I am a critic. Easy peasy. But but with Saturday Night Smash, that's the next step within Swayze TV. That's going to be on YouTube. That's going to be on Twitch. Of course, there's going to be some segments about it in IG, but that's mainly going to be porting everything else within YouTube and Twitch, just so niggas can actually get some motherfucking money for all this shit that I've been doing for the past 20 weeks. So, with that said, folks, I believe I've pretty much explained all the situations that's on hand for not Swayze TV, Inside the Rapper Studio. I really got to thank everybody that's really been on board for Inside the Rapper Studio, because quite frankly, none of y'all niggas didn't have to do this shit. Y'all really could just be ignoring this shit the whole time, like most people I would see on my timeline and even unfollow me for spamming that shit every fucking day. But you guys didn't. So I really got to thank each and every one of you guys for even sticking around for this boring ass live. Yo, Turf is a fucking trooper because he's been here for quite some time, didn't have to be here for quite some time, but like he took in all this information that I had to dispel about the show, so you get a hat, my friend, trust me. Huge shouts out to everybody that's been in this live for whether it's 1 second, 1 minute of the entire show. I don't want to give a shout out to IG because I didn't go on live with anybody, so I'm not going to give you credit that you don't deserve. You are basically doing your job, IG. Suck it up. Coming up next on Inside the Rapper Studio tomorrow, we got Juba Productions on. Juba Productions is the videography company that produced the latest video from Wah, Shelf. Also going to be talking about other productions that he's done with other artists within the city. Talking about film and talking about the importance of videography within hip-hop. It's going to be really nice. It's going to be really informative. It's going to be really fun. Hopefully you guys can come in. Yeah. This is a regular ass episode of fucking Inside the Rapper Studio. Y'all motherfuckers been here. It's episode 92. Like, you know what goes on in Inside the Rapper Studio at this fucking point. There's no way in that, like, nigga, y'all know. But that's neither here, though. Huge shouts out to everybody that's been in this live. Clearly I've just been talking to myself. Not talking to myself, like, in general, because clearly you guys are there. But I just really just been ranting for, like, fucking 45 minutes about the show. So yeah, it's been a lot of love being spread. I really appreciate all the love that's been spread from the show. Yeah, that's all I got. So from your host, Score Swayze, and our wonderful guest of Inside the Rapper Studio, episode 92, all of you. See how I did there? How I made everybody feel special and shit. But yeah. From all of us, I would like to tell you guys thank you very much. And as always, wash your hands, wear a mask, and stay in the house. And good night.